Welcome to another talk session with Matt and myself here for Full Spectrum Defense. Today we're going to talk about perishable skills and how important they are, or how important it is to realize that we can lose skill sets if we're not working on them. So sit back, enjoy this little talk. We're going to go back and forth on some ideas on how to maybe help ourselves out to improve this and to make sure that we're keeping on top of our skill sets even if we're not allowed to go hands-on right now. Okay, so here we go. All right, so ready? Here we go. So welcome back here again with Matt again. We're going to do another little chat this week. This week's chat, we're going to talk about perishable skill sets. So just one thing that I think it's on all of our minds right now is just the fact that for the most part, a lot of us haven't been able to train in the normal way for the last year. So I think that without the hands-on stuff, our skill sets drop quickly and don't realize it until you have to do something. So yeah, so just gonna go. What do you think about that? And we'll kind of go back and forth.
Well, I did have a conversational piece about it. I just 2016 or 2017, I was forced to go to a seminar. It was like 2 8-hour days about a lot of things, but mostly about memory and relearning skills. So they started out with a bicycle. And when you're riding the bicycle, if you were to move it left, the wheel went right. And if you move the handlebars right, the wheel went left.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and what was happening is that it took everybody almost a week or two in Europe. This was a British study to learn how to ride a bike because you ran it in your brain for so long that as you got older, your neural pathways were unable to adjust to the new steering. Wow. So it took people almost 2 weeks, or maybe for this one individual in the study, to adjust to it. And it'll come back to this topic because then what happened was when he had to finish his bike and got the real bike back, like the traditional bikes we grew up with, the tires turn the direction, it took him about 4 or 5 hours to relearn what he had already knew, but it took him weeks to learn to unprogram his brain. But that led to a lot of studies. Yeah, it was neat. It was a whole video. But they were saying with perishable skills that if you were to sit and meditate and think about things you already knew, so it was to do with pianos. And they took someone that hasn't played the piano in years, but knew how to do it. And they thought about it over and over every day. They had a lot of the part of their day to think about piano that when they went back at it, they were as good as if they practiced every day for a certain amount of time because their brain was going over the rhythms of it. I wonder if that would be applicable to you knowing martial arts and thinking about scenarios like boxing combinations, kick punch combinations, ground techniques. If you were to run it through your brain as an exercise, if you would actually sit and focus on it, your brain would still be able to fire it off at almost the same ability as if you're practicing every day.
I think it's
pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think in some ways it probably does for sure. I know that by thinking through stuff that if you just think about it, it sits in the brain. But I think the parts that's missing is everybody, when you put your hands on somebody, they manipulate different. So not every person moves the same way.
Yeah.
Like concept wise, I think you could probably do that no problem. But then actually
maybe more like like katas or like forms. Like doing your forms.
Mentally,
that would probably be what would be.
Yeah. But I think the hands-on actual touching, it changes a little bit. I mean, the concept and the technique stays the same, but everybody reacts differently. So just to do that would be, it'd be interesting to see how that would play out. But I know that. So a few weeks ago, my wife trained with me, and we were doing some stuff, and we were doing some gun disarm stuff, and she put the gun on my chest, and I actually stood there for a few seconds, and she looked at me, and I looked at her. I'm like, huh? I said, apparently my brain stopped for a second because we hadn't done it for quite some time, and it came back really fast. But there was a moment in time there where I just stood there and my mind just went completely blank, and more so because I just haven't been practicing it. So things like that it's kind of weird. So, but and that'd be running it through in your brain is one thing, and then actually doing it and applying it in real time is a little different for sure.
And, lastly about my thing I went to see is young kids, their ability to adapt, whereas like in an hour or two. So like a kid that was in the same scenario as a 40-year-old man took the older generation weeks to grasp it, and a young kid like 6, 7, 8, they could switch back and forth a lot faster. So it was an interesting studies anyway.
Yeah, well, as we get older, we get set in our ways, right? We get used to doing something certain ways. Where when as you're a kid, everything's new. So it's that open-minded concept of just try it and do it. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it was neat.
That's it. Yeah. So, go ahead.
I wouldn't know what the solution is because you can't train with people. So like,
right. It's a waiting game. I think it's a matter of when we get the go ahead, there's going to be a lot of training going on because there's be a lot of things that have been forgotten or not done for a while, and then have to reinsert them into skill sets and scenarios and all that stuff. So, luckily I have been able to train through this time with my wife, so that's been good. But I mean, and even that's been minimal comparatively to what I would normally be doing. But it's still good. It gets me kind of in that rhythm. It keeps her in the rhythm as well. So, but for everybody else that's training that isn't doing the hands-on stuff, it's definitely interesting. So
where I live right now, which you've been to, I've decided to turn off all the social. I don't listen to anything anymore,
nice.
Other than get groceries. The problem is I have no idea what's going on. I just found out that Ottawa's going back to the red zone.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I guess.
Oh, okay.
What would that mean for you? Or how many people could you have in your class if you were in the red zone?
Yeah, so currently right now we're still in red, and we're allowed 10 people max in the facility, including instructors. So, we've got a 6,000 square foot facility that sits basically empty all the time. But
I know your facility is really nice.
It's going to be a little while before we get back to normal, but it's working for what it is right now, and the restrictions are going to lift. It's just going to be some time yet. So
you still have the Wing Chun instructor?
Yeah. So Sifu Bren, and because Sifu Chuck moved away, he's no longer here, but Sifu Bren took over for him, and it's doing quite well.
Who did I meet when I did the seminar? He came into the room.
I think you met.
He was an Asian guy, I think.
Yeah, you met Chuck. Yeah.
Chuck, yeah.
Yeah.
It was right there.
Yeah, he moved. He's living in a different place right now, so he's doing really well. Miss him for sure. So, but yeah, so that's our kind of talk for now. Just a quick little going over a few things, just to kind of give an idea of what we think of certain things. And I think that the skill set thing is hands-on is awesome, and when we don't have hands-on, it definitely makes a difference in our training for sure. But
something I still do today. I mean, okay, it's not as relevant today as it was when I was younger. Is I put music in my ears, and I run 2 or 3 minute time.
Yep.
And without shadow boxing, without actually throwing the punches, I just move. So I imagine that I'm in like a ring, for example, for the boxing and kickboxing, and I move and feint, but my mind is like, my eyes are almost closed, where I'm visualizing reacting and moving. I must look strange at a civilian gym because I do it in public a lot, but I absolutely like visualize the footwork, and I'm very active of moving around, like as if I'm shadow boxing, but I'm not actually letting the hands go.
Right.
But my head reacts, my body reacts. It's a great warm up, but I believe that visualization would keep me one step closer than if I didn't do it at all.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. Like even if I'm trying to calm down or just sit somewhere, I'll visualize stuff that I want to do even for training. And it keeps things fresh in your mind, right? Because your body connects to your brain. So, and you got to keep them connected for the mental aspects of both. Because if it's just one or the other, it doesn't work so well. So, physical fitness, and then the training, and then the mental aspect for sure. And then, once we get back to being able to do hands-on, it'll come back quick. Like I have no doubt about that. It's there. We've trained for more than a couple of years. So I think that those skill sets are kind of in us, but it's that hands-on practice that we kind of need too. So
I know for myself, I have trouble training without a goal. I can't just train to be healthy. I need like an end date, like something to motivate me to want to eat healthier, to train harder. Right now, during this COVID, I haven't had it. Like, I think that's one of my shortfallings that I need to identify with, is what motivates me to push myself where it's just being, nothing.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
And back in the day, competition was that. My work used to allow that, but now I'm still motivated. I just don't, I would say that I don't follow my own program to what I said. Like I'll visualize it and write it down, but because I know that this keeps going on, and weeks became a year and a half. It was an anniversary, I think. Was it 2 days ago or yesterday, the 1 year anniversary?
Yeah, it was this week. Yeah. Like it's in my brain like it was yesterday. Yeah, no, you're right.
I think it was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard it's been hard to motivate sometimes, and I've gone through some highs and lows too, for sure. So at the beginning, it was like, okay, I was motivated to keep going because I thought it was gonna be short term. Then there was this longer term. So there was definitely a lull in my training. And now the last few months, I've been really consistent again. So I'm not sure why, but I'm motivated to train even harder because I have a bit more time, which I don't normally have. So that helps on that end.
See, that's my point. I've had lots of time, and it hasn't worked. Maybe if we you made like a Facebook group or an Instagram group or something to hold everyone that joins accountable, and then duly weekly updates or something.
Yeah, it definitely would be a good thing. But I know that people are lacking motivation right now. Trying to keep everybody kind of going. So it's important that we keep our motivation high, and it motivates other people. Just it's not by seeing, it's by doing. So
I don't know what the solution is. Do you have a solution?
A solution?
I think the accountability one, if you had like a group of people verbally or some sort of commit to it, and then like do selfies or something to like say I'm going to be down. Like for example, I'd like to get down to 185.
Right.
I haven't been over 193 in my entire life ever. 1 year of COVID, I sit around 201, 200.
Right.
Which is 7 pounds heavier than I've ever been in my life. And it's not good weight. It's bad weight.
You'll get it back on track. I know how you work. So and then the weather gets better too. It makes a big difference. I don't know how things are there, but it's just warming up here a bit. So
yeah, it's colder here, but not by much. I mean, we still have snow. It's just melting now. Yeah.
Right on. I'm gonna end this up here. So just thanks again for joining me, and we will do another one. But hang tight for 1 sec.
Yep.